podcast here at Ingram Micro Cloud. Unfortunately, with everything still going on in the world, we are still producing this over Teams, but that's not going to stop us from providing great content to our partners. And speaking of everything that's going on in the world currently, I just want to say I hope everyone is staying safe and staying home. As we are only a couple of podcasts in, I did just want to recap on what we're going to be covering as part of these podcasts. So we're going to be doing these on a monthly basis, and we're going to be covering off different things like great updates along all the Microsoft stack. So Microsoft 365, Azure, Dynamics 365, and we could include also updates just from Microsoft from a partnership perspective like we have today. So keep you all up to date with things that are going on with Microsoft and Ingram Micro Cloud. So this really is for Microsoft partners to ensure that they're getting the very best of Microsoft, but then also the very best of Ingram Micro as well. And that you're fully aware of all the great services we have to offer our partners, for example, our Accelerate programs. It won't always be the same presenters on the podcast. You can see some different faces here today from the last one. So depending on what we're covering, we may even do things like demos and more technical content, or it could be more sales and marketing enablement focused. And we could even invite some partners on to be guest speakers and tell us about their success stories and what they're doing currently. So the possibilities really are endless with this, which is great. So the only way to find out about that is to stay tuned. So if there is anything as well that you'd specifically like us to cover and talk about, then feel free to get in touch. We do actually want people to do that, and we do want to know what you want us to talk about to make sure we're providing the best content. So just to recap really quickly on the April 2020 podcast, we covered off a couple of topics, including our Accelerate programs for Azure, Modern Workplace, and Dynamics 365, and how our partners enrolled in these programs are actually able to grow faster and add more customers at a faster rate as well, which is great. And we also talked about Microsoft Teams, as it was Microsoft Teams' 3rd birthday. And we also talked about some great updates from Microsoft. So you can find that previous podcast on our Ingram Micro Cloud YouTube channel currently. So feel free to check that out as well. So that is enough of an intro for today. So without further ado, let me introduce you to today's presenters. So today we have 2 new presenters joining the podcast as well. We have Rohan Tahim, who I'll let him introduce himself shortly, from our Microsoft SureStep team, as well as Nigel.Mullings, our Azure Solutions Architect here at Ingram Micro. And then joining me again, we have Samuel.Waters and Steven.Gifford from Ingram Micro also. So to start off the introductions, I'll just start off with myself, and then I can go quiet for a little bit, and you can hear other people's voices shortly. So I'm Mathew.Batterbee, and I am the Dynamics 365 lead here at Ingram Micro Cloud UK. And in my role, I am supporting partners that are currently transacting Dynamics 365, enabling them to grow faster using resources, for example, like our Accelerate program. And I'm also working with partners that don't currently transact Dynamics and enabling them to begin transacting Dynamics much easier with no risk and no investment. So as we covered off on the last podcast, that's all around the Dynamics Accelerate program and how we're enabling partners there. So that's a big part of what I do, as well as creating a lot of content. So webinars, videos, blogs, those sorts of things, all Dynamics focused. So make sure that we're providing great content to our partners. So that's enough from me. I'm now going to hand you over all the way from Springfield. We have Steve. Steve, tell us about yourself. What do you do and who are you?
Yeah, hi, morning everyone, and thanks for joining today. So yeah, my name is Steven.Gifford. I am the Modern Workplace Partner Development Manager. I've been with Ingram for over 8 years now, and been in many different roles and facets within the company, and always sort of aligned with Microsoft normally in some way. So I've been helping sort of partners from sort of maybe the early steps of helping integrate and sort of starting their cloud journey with the Office 365 solutions, as well as sort of now more sort of predominantly focused around some of our existing partners and seeing how we can help them grow faster and accelerate faster, obviously with our Accelerate program. So thanks for letting me join again. My neighbour does appear to be cutting his grass at the moment, so I'll tell Flanders to stop. But if you do hear it on the call, I do apologise. Work from home, what things you have to go through.
This is it. It's the beauty of working from home, and it's either going to be a dog jumping on someone's lap or something going on in the back. It's always going to be something. It's absolutely fine. Cheers, Steve. And Sam, over to you. Thanks for joining me again. Tell everyone who you are and what you do.
Hello, so I am Sam.Waters. I'm one of the IaaS account managers. So I dabble in Azure and AWS. And basically try and tie myself into every other aspect of cloud possible, just so I can be that bridge across for any of my partners. So obviously, main focus at the moment for me is helping my partners survive lockdown, trying to find them solutions that can help them work from home easier, and just try and develop their growth. So we're starting growth plans in place at the moment as account managers in IaaS. And yeah, that's kind of my role.
Perfect. Thanks a lot. Thanks for joining me again. And then also new to the podcast, we have Nigel.Mullings. So Nigel, tell everyone who you are, what you do. Yeah, I'll over to you.
Hi. Yeah, thanks, Matt. So I'm Nigel.Mullings. I am a cloud solution architect for Ingram. I've been with Ingram a couple of years now. Just under a couple of years. My main focus here is Microsoft Azure. The public cloud, my main focus really is around enabling partners to, on their cloud journey, like Steve mentioned. We are big in the cloud space, and our partners are, a lot of partners on the cloud journey at the moment. There's skills shortage, as we know, in the cloud skills space. There's a lot of, there's basically not as much cloud skills out there as like the old days, the old infrastructure days. You know, Azure is just really someone else's data center, and a lot of the infrastructure guys that we talk to and with our partners, they're familiar with the old classic infrastructure deployments, and but moving to the cloud, it's a different kind of technology. It's the same infrastructure, it's a different way to manage it, and we're seeing that partners are struggling with that technically. And so my role, is basically to enable those partners, help them on the journey, get them comfortable with the technology, and make sure they're doing the right things in there. And yeah, we're seeing a lot of traction at the moment in the cloud space, particularly in Microsoft's public cloud, Microsoft Azure, with things like Windows Virtual Desktop, getting a lot of traction with our partners working from home. So really busy times at the moment here at Ingram in the cloud space, and welcome to all our partners listening in, and hopefully you get some good information about how to make good use of the cloud, and that's what basically we're here to help you do.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Nigel. And then Rohan, last but by no means least, tell us all who you are, what you do, and how happy you are to be working with Ingram Micro. Not putting words in your mouth.
Hi everyone, my name is Rohan Tahim. I am the Azure BDM rec aligned to Ingram Micro from the Microsoft SureStep team. My role is basically to try and help Ingram Micro develop their partners through their journey through the cloud. As Nigel earlier said, right now there's a massive skills shortage in the market when it comes to cloud, and we see that on an everyday basis interacting with partners. Part of my job is to, again, quite like Nigel, enable them to take those first steps into the cloud, help build their practice, which is more cloud ready, get a better understanding of the cloud infrastructure, as it were. Along with that, it is also to basically get the best out of their Microsoft partnership. There is a lot of resources available to them through their Microsoft partnerships, be it an Action Pack, Silver or Gold. But it seems that majority of the resellers out there aren't aware of all the resources that they have at their disposal. So it's basically to highlight things that they can gain out of their partnership with Microsoft and use that to develop their cloud practice further.
Amazing. Thanks a lot, Rohan. And I mean, personally speaking, I've heard amazing things from you, from the Azure guys, the likes of Sam and the other IaaS account managers. You know, you're quite new into the SureStep role, not new to the channel, but new to the SureStep role, and you're adding tremendous value already. So the SureStep is definitely going to be a topic that we're going to cover off today, just to give our partners a bit more information as to actually what benefit does working with SureStep have, not just across Azure, but also Modern Workplace and Dynamics. That's going to be a key topic today. We're also going to be covering off some Microsoft updates, so including updates from the Microsoft Partner Program in response to the global pandemic, and how Microsoft want to work with partners in the coming weeks and months to provide support to partners. And then one of our main key topics today is also going to be Windows Virtual Desktop. So we are really doing a lot at the moment to enable our partners in this area, and we're really lucky to have Nigel joining us today, along with Sam, along with Rohan, to discuss Windows Virtual Desktop, including the benefits, the integrations available, and just how using Windows Virtual Desktop can make life easier, as well as a short demo from Nigel as well. You could almost call it a teaser trailer to some of the work that he's doing currently as part of Windows Virtual Desktop. He's doing a lot, so I'm really happy that I've got his valuable time on this podcast today, because he's doing a lot, working tirelessly to help partners in this area. We're also going to be discussing the Office 365 name changes. So Steve's going to be taking us through them. It is still a very, it's a hot topic currently, and there's still some confusion around those name changes. So it's going to be really good to go through those. I'm not going to lie, hold my hands up, I'm still confused by it. So I'm looking forward to going over that with Steve. And then finally, we talk a lot about all the content that we're building, Nigel's webinars, my webinars, Steve's doing webinars. And actually, sometimes there might be some confusion as to actually where partners go to find those. So I'm going to do a little demo at the end of this podcast just to show you where our content hub is in our Ingram Microcloud website. So you can go find that content, as well as some of the blogs that we're writing and those kind of things. So I'll take you through those shortly. But first, I am going to start off with the Microsoft updates. So in order to do that, I'm just going to share my screen very quickly. And then if my co-presenters can just let me know when you can see my screen, that'd be great.
Yeah, that looks good to me.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, that'll do. Okay, so over the past few weeks, all of us have really come together to battle the global health pandemic during this time. Organizations around the world are adjusting to the way they manage their daily work, and workforces are continuing, and in the face of, the extraordinary changes to the professional and personal lives. Microsoft know that their partners are critical to the way that they deliver technologies and the business transformation to end customers. So Microsoft are responding, knowing that we all really need to work together to ensure that we're reaching our customers' needs. And now Microsoft know that means ensuring that they're providing the support that all the partners are going to need and all the customers are going to need in the weeks and months to come. And to that end, Microsoft have just recently announced a few updates around the partner programs that I just want to share with you today. So the first one you can see there across the top, the competency extensions. So Microsoft have heard from many partners recently that during these challenging times, it's really is creating a challenge to meet the requirements and renew existing competencies in the current climate. So to help partners focus on supporting their customers, if your competency anniversary date is between January the 1st and June the 30th, 2020, Microsoft are extending your existing competency or competencies, if you've got more than one, through your next anniversary date in 2021. So you will need to take action in Partner Center in order to take advantage of that extension. So the information specific to your organization will be available in Partner Center. So check that out. Great update there, though. I've heard that from numerous partners as well, so it's really good that Microsoft have actually acted on that. That's really great to see. Azure Advanced Specializations extension. So if you're currently enrolled in any Azure, any of the advanced specializations for Azure, and have a renewal date on or before December 31st, 2020, your program anniversary date will be extended to June the 30th, 2021. So for advanced specializations that require an audit, you will be audited against the checklist that is in place at the time of your renewal audit. So just be aware of that as well for any of our partners that are enrolled in those Azure advanced specializations. Training, exams and certifications. This is definitely a big one because I am seeing every day I see someone that's passed an exam on LinkedIn, which is amazing. So the Microsoft Worldwide Learning Team recently announced plans to help ensure that your teams can get trained and certified easily. Microsoft are increasing the number of digital testing centers, so certifications can be done at home. They're also waiving the rescheduling fees and extending exam voucher expiration dates as well. Microsoft are also moving hundreds of in-person technical training sessions to virtual platforms so that you can continue to receive specialized training from local subject matter experts and trainers. So you can see all those events that are available at events.microsoft.com. So check that out. And Microsoft Learn is always going to be your destination for free digital training, offering a comprehensive catalog of online training that includes interactive coding environments and role-based learning paths across Azure, Modern Workplace, and Dynamics. And partner technical services are available to help partners who are trying to close deals currently. So with pre-sales, technical and deployment guidance, as well as application development assistance. So the resource is available to partners who have advisory hours included with their competency or action pack. So just a reminder on that, as an action pack partner, you get 5 hours a year. And then as a silver partner, you get 20 hours a year, and gold partners get 50 hours a year. So it really is an incredible resource that does tend to go underutilized a bit. So, you know, I would definitely recommend checking that out. And as we're going to be talking SureStep after, they are a great resource that you as Ingram Micro partners can utilize to ensure that you're getting the best of Ingram Micro, but then also the best of Microsoft and the best of your Microsoft partnership. So more on that in a couple of minutes. And last but not least, we've got the Azure Operations Capacity and Continuity. So in response to health authorities emphasizing the importance of social distancing, Microsoft are supporting businesses, schools, and governments in the unprecedented mobilization of remote workforces. As expected, Microsoft have seen huge increases in services that support these workloads, including Microsoft Teams and Windows Virtual Desktop. So in fact, you know, we talked about it on the last podcast, but Microsoft Teams usage grew around 50% week on week recently, which is just incredible. And that's a global figure. In response, Microsoft have mobilized their global response plan to help customers and partners stay up and running during this critical time. And Microsoft are actively monitoring performance and usage trends 24/7 to ensure they are optimizing all of their services for customers worldwide while accommodating this significant new demand. Microsoft are also accelerating the expansion of their global infrastructure as quickly and as safely as possible to support the unprecedented demand for cloud services. And they're using data science techniques to learn from what has already been achieved to predict future usage and make informed decisions moving forward as well. And Microsoft have established clear criteria for prioritizing new cloud capacity if needed. Top priority will be first responded, health and emergency services, critical government infrastructure, and also ensuring remote workers stay up and running with the core functionality of Teams. We can all appreciate that these updates can raise questions, so Microsoft have tried to address the most common ones in a recent blog post, which is the link that you can see on my screen at the bottom there as well. You can find that blog there. So some real great updates there, and I'd like to thank Ashley Jego, who was unable to join us today from Microsoft, but he provided us with that information, so thank you very much. And staying on the topic of Microsoft and the services that they offer, I really want to start off by talking about SureStep today. And as we have, you know, many partners listening that maybe have never heard that term or remember an old SureStep methodology, Rohan, I really think this is the best place to bring you in, and we'll start talking about that. So maybe you could tell us, you know, what is SureStep? I suppose would be the first question.
Yeah, thanks for that, Matt. I got first introduced to the SureStep team, I think, about 18 months ago. SureStep is basically it's a channel-wide resource that is available to indirects. We work with all indirects to help their businesses grow, and the only way we can help indirects grow their business is by helping partners grow their business. Yeah. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, now there are so many resources from Microsoft that are available to partners as part of their Microsoft memberships, but majority of it seems to be either underutilized or partners aren't aware of it. Some of the things, for example, marketing resources. Majority of the partners that I speak to right now, these are well-established businesses. They've got a good practice, they've got a good reputation, but the single source of their business has been, up until now, word of mouth, and when they start realizing now that okay, market is becoming even more competitive than what it used to be, people have to start addressing the need for marketing. When you start thinking of marketing, immediately the first thought that comes to the majority of people is, right, okay, hire a third party, outsource the marketing to someone else. Where are we going to get the content from? What is the content that we should be pushing out? Now, depending if you're a silver or gold partner, you could have a one-on-one consult with a Microsoft marketing resource. They'd be able to give you best practices, put you in touch with some of their recommended providers. There are ready-made social media posts available to you that partners can use to drive the message out to their end customers. We've got more resources, things like solutions workspace. It's basically one stop for a partner to get everything they need from building their solution to taking it to market. They can basically, it's a very simple step-by-step questionnaire sort of thing. You fill out the bits that you need, and the first thing you presented is going to be with a checklist along with all the build tools you require for your project. So someone right now who's, let's say, starting out their Azure practice and they're not that familiar with, they understand what Azure is, they've probably done a few bits with Azure, but they want to do more, they want to start building out a project, let's say for Windows Virtual Desktop, for example. But as soon as you type in Windows Virtual Desktop Azure into any search engine, it's going to give you so many resources that it just becomes, biggest pain becomes, where do I start? Whereas going through something like the Solutions Workspace, it's going to give you everything you need in a step-by-step, right? First things first. This is what the overview is. Second, here you need to familiarize yourself with cloud compute. There you go. You've got access to that. Technical journeys that you can use. Other than the marketing resources that we've talked about, there is, what I would do is I would basically run a partner through the full partner toolkit. The entire toolkit will consist of going through the different competencies that they can go for. So build out learning plans for them, how to enable them to increase their business by getting that knowledge in-house rather than outsourcing parts of your project to another provider out there.
Brilliant. And I think that's perfect. I mean, as you're talking, I kind of thought, the toolkit, great place to start. And actually, and I know I said I might not share my screen on this one, but I'm just going to share my screen on the toolkit because I know I'm terrible for this. But I just think it is such a great resource. And actually, it's kind of one of those things where if you're a partner and you haven't seen this, then get in touch because it's so valuable.
So just with the same thing, basically.
Yeah, just let me know when you can see my screen, guys.
Yeah.
There we go. So this is exactly what Rohan was just talking about now. For those that can see this, and Rohan mentioned something really great there around simplifying it, and that's exactly what SureStep have done with this toolkit. They've simplified the Microsoft partnership that you can see exactly what level of member you are, what do you receive as part of that, and actually there's very few times that we will go through this with a partner and they will know all of this and they will have used these resources. So what Rohan's doing along with the other SureStep guys on Modern Workplace and Dynamics is absolutely invaluable. It's amazing, and it is saving our partners money as well. Rohan mentioned that, I'm not going to go through everything on this, but competencies, but he mentioned, and I'm just going to go to it really quickly, the marketing side of things. All the different go-to-market benefits available for partners that even just a network member. And then when you go up to silver and gold, even more. And the value that added 25% increase in leads when you're using your go-to-market benefits with Microsoft. It's amazing. So the work that Rohan's doing is absolutely incredible, and the value that they can add. Talk about the technical journeys. There's so much available that it is hard for a partner to make sense of it all and know exactly what should he be using at the right time. SureStep make it so much easier.
I think the toolkit itself has so many resources in there. I find it difficult to try and cover everything off in an hour-long conversation with someone, and to try and cover off the entire thing in a quick snippet here, it's probably impossible. But the key thing to, I suppose, highlight here is that there is a lot of resources available to partners as part of their Microsoft membership or partnership. And yes, and I encourage anyone who is listening to this to get in touch with your providers, to get yourself an engagement booked in with your SureStep representative and go through this entire thing.
100%. I think one thing that SureStep do absolutely brilliantly is bring the best value that Microsoft have to offer alongside the best value that Ingram has to offer. So, for example, our Accelerate programs and our go-to-market hub and those kind of resources. But, as you can see here, some of the resources that Microsoft have available, the Cloud Enablement Desk. If you've not heard that term before, then get in touch. It's a great resource. You get one-to-one support from Microsoft for a good 6 to 9 months to help you grow your cloud practice. Amazing. The technical journeys. If you've never heard of Cloud Ascent before and never looked into your Insights dashboard, you're probably missing out on a lot of cross-sell and upsell opportunities across all clouds, whether it's Modern Workplace, Azure, Dynamics. It doesn't matter. You're probably missing out on that opportunity, as well as open to CSP opportunities as well. Incredible dashboard that's available in your partner center, and the SureStep guys are able to talk you through that in much more detail, as well as our account managers. So again, if you've not seen that before, it's worth the conversation. Accessing all your go-to-market benefits. There's so much available, and when the guys go through this toolkit, they get such a positive response. I'll stop sharing my screen now. But yeah, they get such a positive response. Every partner is just so thankful of everything that you guys do, and I think we're thankful of everything that the SureStep guys do as well, because it just really helps us take that conversation again even to the next level. You really get them set up, getting those partners really driving Azure, or whether it's Microsoft 365 or Dynamics. I think it's absolutely a brilliant service that we get from Microsoft, and that we can expose our partners to. So I think the easiest thing to say there is that partners need to get in touch.
That's it.
Call us, please.
We're all lonely and at home. Phone us.
Friend.
But yeah, I think so. Thank you very much for that, Rohan. That's absolutely brilliant. And then, yeah, so I think the next topic we're going to be talking about is Windows Virtual Desktop. So right now, I'm going to hand you over to the expert. Nigel, over to you. I'm going to go on mute.
All right, guys. Yeah, so Windows Virtual Desktop, we are here at Ingram at the moment. We're seeing a lot of traction for Windows Virtual Desktop. Obviously, because of the working from home situation, most partners, all partners should be working from home. We hope they are keeping safe, helping save lives, save the NHS. That's what we're about here. So yeah, we just happen to be seeing a lot of traction. This product is really gaining some real traction with our partners here at Ingram. And as I mentioned earlier, the skills shortage in the cloud space is prevalent. We're seeing that a lot across the whole scope of our partners. And the kind of things that they're asking us to do, or to enable them with, or to help them with, are just really understanding the product, understanding Azure, rather than just Windows Virtual Desktop, just any solution that can help them while they're working from home, while they're out and about. And it's not just working from home. I mean, remote workers. Let me share my screen. Actually, while you were talking away there, I put a bit of a deck together for this. So I'll just run through a few slides, because I'm conscious that if I just dive into something technical around Windows Virtual Desktop, that potentially the people listening may not even know what we're talking about.
I completely agree. As you've been saying, like most of my conversations over the last 2 months have been, well, why would I use virtual desktop? Like, what use cases are there that I would need to use this product instead of just setting up an RDS or going through the whole rigmarole of setting it all up manually, rather than just using this lovely, beautiful managed service.
Yeah, exactly that. So they're the kind of questions that our partners are asking us. Yeah. And that's what we're challenged with every day, answering those types of questions. So let's have a quick look then. I'm just going to share my desktop, my Ingram desktop. Tell me when you can see.
Got it.
And I've got a few slides here, just some Microsoft slides that I put together from one of the advanced L300 technical decks on Windows Virtual Desktop. And this will just give you a bit of an overview of the product. So Windows Virtual Desktop, it's a virtual desktop experience delivered on Azure. So literally virtual desktops in the cloud. And just really to highlight some of the skill shortages that we see. This slide shows you the kind of skills that we see our partners or customers asking partners to fulfill. So end users are looking for these skill sets, and you know, like I've touched on, that they're just short at the moment out there. It's relatively new, brave new world. So some of the reasons to use Windows Virtual Desktop over and above COVID-19 and working from home and just general daily business kind of conversations that we have with partners around increasing margin, moving away from CapEx model and having all that big spend on your infrastructure, moving to an OpEx model, so a monthly subscription model.
I think the value of using this is something that's always missed, to be honest, and it's kind of a blurred line for a lot of people because they never see the actual margin and the profit they can make themselves by using virtual desktop instead of going on premises like they used to. I think it's been quite a large problem for people to adapt to and understand. So yeah, is there any more that we can have a look at around the margin that you showed us on that last slide?
So Windows Server, these are the percent margins that are available on these solutions. So 26% on Windows Server. I mean, a lot of customers are already eligible for this solution with this licensing model that I'll just touch on shortly. But yeah, there's huge revenues to be had by our partners, and Microsoft, I think they've published 30% increase of late of their just the Windows Virtual Desktop solution generally. So yeah,
I think the scalability of it again becomes one of the more appealing factor when comparing against an on-prem traditional RDS solution that people would have set up.
Yeah. So yeah, some of the specific business needs. Like I say, it's not really just working from home. There are lots of reasons why Windows Virtual Desktop is the tool of choice, shall we say, at the moment. It meets lots of needs, ticks lots of boxes for lots of organizations for different reasons, you can see some of the different specific needs there. I'm not going to just read these slides out to you, but yeah, you get the idea. Not sure what's happened there. Basically, it's the only multi-session Windows 10. So the only place where you can get Windows 10 as a multi-session operating system, lots of users logging onto the same Windows 10 box. Can't do that anywhere else outside of Windows Virtual Desktop. You can migrate your existing, if you've got an RDS solution, you can migrate that into a Windows Virtual Desktop solution. Really quick to deploy. Not sure about minutes. Well, yeah, minutes, quite a few of them, but yeah, it's a quick solution to deploy generally. And there are some improvements that are being made at the moment to the whole management experience of Windows Virtual Desktop. There's a new management blade being introduced by Microsoft, which should be with us next month. I've requested access to the preview of that, but I've not got it yet. So some of the additional benefits, yeah. So VDI and remote desktop session host management as a service. So like Sam touched on, this is a managed service in the cloud. It's kind of a PaaS and an IaaS solution. So the bit that Microsoft managed, the brokers and the licensing, that's a PaaS solution. And then the bits that you will manage, the Windows 7 and Windows 10, your desktops, that's an IaaS solution. So it's same as you would spin up VMs in Azure, you would manage your own images that you push out, and that's your IaaS part of the solution. And obviously, Azure is Azure. The power of Azure making your solution there. It's a kind of high-level overview of the architecture. So the PaaS bit that Microsoft managed, typically, if this was an RDS solution, these would be individual servers doing these roles or servicing. So if it was an RDS solution and these are individual servers, that's 6 servers, potentially these services would be running on separate servers. And if you wanted HA, you want it to be highly available, you'd probably need 2 of these in place. So it's 12 servers for an RDS solution, kind of ballpark generally. This is the IaaS bit that you manage, so your Windows 7 images, or Windows Server, Windows 10, or multi-session. And so this is the IaaS bit, infrastructure as a service, that you would manage yourself as an IT admin. And this is Azure, the bit that Microsoft manage. And with Windows Virtual Desktop, FSLogix is the technology that Microsoft say to use as a best practice to manage your user profiles. And there's some guidance around how to set that up. We can have a quick look at the documentation around how to deploy FSLogix as a best practice part of the solution. I've actually got this set up in my environment, so I can look at that. And yeah, for the licensing, as I mentioned, many customers are already eligible. Yeah. If you have any of this licensing, M365 or Windows 10, yeah, you can just go and spin up Windows Virtual Desktop straight away. If you've got RDS CALs with an active SA, you can use the server workloads for 2016. I think he's in there at the moment. And yeah, you just pay for the storage and networking. Same for FSLogix technologies, same licensing model. And integrations with Citrix. We hear partners saying, "Oh, but I use Citrix," and that's really, you know, enterprise grade. Yeah, and Windows Virtual Desktop, Microsoft partner with Citrix and Horizon View and lots of the other popular VDI ISVs out there. So yeah, I don't really want to do a bit of a, I just want to give you a bit of an overview of the solution without going into too much of a deep dive.
One question I get asked a lot, Nigel, is when I start trying to introduce people to Virtual Desktop, they are always worried about the availability. Why would they choose Virtual Desktop over like a self-managed RDS, like availability wise? Because they're always worried that if it goes down centrally, then they're going to lose their stuff. Which obviously is not the case, because it's not the case. Microsoft take care of all of that. But could you explain for the people who ask me that question, just like why it is more secure than managing everything yourself?
Yeah, sure. So, well, in essence, once you've built the solution, so can you still see my screen?
Yep.
So that's Azure. This is the Windows Virtual Desktop documentation. I'm just going to quickly go to the actual documentation. So there's lots of reasons why you would use Azure over managing your own RDS solution on-prem. For me, the first and foremost would be the security of Azure. You know, Azure's built on security and Office 365, and security, Microsoft spend millions and billions of pounds on security and securing their infrastructures and their 54 data centers, around 144 countries in the world. You know, they're the biggest cloud provider with the most security accreditations. So it makes sense for most, you know, to put your stuff in their data center.
Yeah.
They offer lots of capabilities around high availability and scalability, elasticity, and ways to modernize your infrastructure to make sure that if a data center does happen to go down, that your service doesn't go down with it because you've built in resiliency to that solution. So if you look at the Microsoft documentation, so Windows Virtual Desktop documentation, and you're running through this, like I said, there's lots of stuff around high availability. If you just want to look at high availability and how to deploy a Windows Virtual Desktop solution that's highly available, essentially what you're going to do is use Azure technology availability sets for your host pool to make sure that your virtual machines in your host pools are always available, basically.
Cool.
So you're going to use things like availability sets will make sure that your virtual machines are in different racks in the same data center. So if there's a data center failure, then with one particular rack, then you've still got services running from another one of the rack. Maybe some of your virtual machines are on one rack, some are on another, some updates are happening. So one set of virtual machines will be made always available. I mean, because Azure has so many data centers across so many regions, it's really simple to just implement a disaster recovery solution or a backup solution to another region and have your services readily available in another country, another region, just a few clicks, and you're good to go to be able to do that.
Perfect.
So yeah, the place to go if you want to deploy Windows Virtual Desktop is this documentation, and you would literally follow this tutorial here. So you're going to create a tenant, and then you're going to create a host pool, and you're going to log on to the host pool. The host pool contains your session hosts, and there's a little bit of PowerShell involved in setting it up, which can be quite complex. And we work with lots of ISVs, as you know, and we're currently working with an ISV called Nerdio, who have designed a solution that helps partners build out Azure infrastructure, Windows Virtual Desktop, RDS, IaaS solutions with a few clicks of a button.
Yeah, it's an amazing tool.
Yeah, it's a good tool. I'll give you a quick overview of that later, but let me just show you this Windows Virtual Desktop solution that I've got set up. And again, I'm actually doing a webinar tomorrow. So my webinar is running tomorrow at 2 o'clock. I don't want to give you too much information because I'd encourage you to register and watch that tomorrow. But this is the environment that I've deployed for our webinar tomorrow using this documentation. So it's really a quick, you can see it's just create a tenant, do that service principles, create a host pool, and create some apps. And then you can log onto the service. So the idea is to just showcase how a user, an end user, who is now working from home, is going to log on to a new Windows 10 desktop that his company have deployed for him. It's kind of this scenario. So let me just paint that picture for you. So on my demo environment, I've got here 3 servers, a domain controller, an Exchange server, and a file server. This file server is hosting my FSLogix user profiles for Windows Virtual Desktop. So if you look back at the documentation, there's a profile container. There's 3 options for creating profile containers for your users using FSLogix. One of them is to create a virtual machine and create a share on there, which is what I've done. That's that virtual machine to share on. Or you can use Azure NetApp Files, or you can use Azure Files, which is shares in Azure, and Azure Active Directory domain services. So I've got this option set up here in my environment, and it basically says create a virtual machine, create a share it out, and then do this in the registry. So tell the registry that the location of the VHDs is going to be the share that you create. So that's set up on this server. So on this file server, I created this on the C drive, just created a profile folder called Windows Virtual Desktop User Profiles and shared it out essentially. So my users will now have their user profiles in this location. And I've got these 3 users that I created that you can see here. They're my simulated on-prem environment. They're just on a domain, this envision.cloud.demos UK domain, 3 users. And the idea is that these users now are working from home and they need to log into Windows 10. So we've got that set up. Another thing probably worth showing you is this Exchange server. So when you deploy Windows Virtual Desktop, another of the prerequisites for deploying Windows Virtual Desktop is to have domain services running. You have to have domain services. But if you look at the requirements, your infrastructure needs the following to support Windows Virtual Desktop. You need Azure Active Directory, and you need to have Server Active Directory in sync with Azure Active Directory. So that's what's going on here. So I've got Azure AD Connect is the tool that you use. And I can show you this synchronization happening, the synchronization service. So this is the service that is synchronizing with my Azure Active Directory. This domain, Envision Cloud Demos UK, syncing with my Microsoft. And I can run a manual synchronization if I want, which is good to know. And this capability we're pointing out as well. So you can see I'm just saying do a full sync of my on-prem domain with Azure. Yeah, this capability is worth pointing out that this will be brought into the Azure portal in the next release of Azure AD Connect. You won't have to install this, but you still install it on an on-prem server. But the capability to manage it will be done from Azure. So to just go back into Azure, that's kind of the infrastructure on-prem. And then the solution, so I'm in Azure, pinned a few tiles to my dashboard. I'm logged in with my Ingram into a demo tenant in this Envision environment that we've created. And these are those 3 virtual machines. They're running in Azure. There's the DC, the Exchange server, and the file server. And so my solution is in a resource group. Everything's in a resource group in Azure, and it's in this resource group here. So this is what gets deployed when you create Windows Virtual Desktop. There's 10 resources. If I just sort them by a type. So when I built my host pool, my session host, I specified that I want 3 virtual machines, and that's those 3 there. You can say how many you want depending on your workload. So basically, there's not much for Windows Virtual Desktop. There's 3 virtual machines, 3 NICs, 1 for each VM network interface, and 3 OS disks, 1 for each machine, and the availability set that my machines live in to make sure that there's some high availability built into the solution by putting them in this availability set. So that's pretty much all you get once it's deployed. Everything's in this resource group. Machines obviously on the network. You've seen those in remote desktop. These machines are just running. So now to access the service as a user, my users now want to access this service. I, as the IT admin, deployed this service. These are my session hosts running on these size virtual machines, which are quite small for demo purposes. So logging onto the service, what you would do, you download and install this remote desktop client application, which is not this remote desktop, but this remote desktop. And you subscribe to the host pool. So what I've got in my environment, I've created two pools, one for desktops and one for applications. And you can assign your users to a desktop pool or an application pool. So my user 1 is assigned applications that I've hosted, that I've published, and users 2 and 3 have access to a full desktop, Windows 10 multi-session desktop. If I log in as user 2, he should have access to a full desktop. So it is envision.clouddemos.uk. That's my domain, that's my user. So I've just got 3 users, vd2 at envision.clouddemos. That looks right. Oh. User 2. My user, sorry. Oh, it's user 2, sorry. user 2. All right. User 2 vision. Okay, that looks right. One. I've got the usernames wrong. Bear with me a sec. I'll just get these users from Azure and should get the right username. So if I go into Azure Active Directory users, let's get my so I've got user 1, 2, 3. That looks right to me. So subscribing, user 1 who's got access to apps. Okay, I should use password. That's the right one. So this guy, yeah, I created an application pool, published some applications that are installed on my session hosts, and gave user 1 access to those applications. So this user 1 is at home, imagine. He's logged into this remote desktop client, and he now can access any of these apps, or any app that I publish for him directly from here. So this will open as a full notepad. It's just doing that over there. I think the first time you log in, it'll be loading my profile. Logging again. That's what's done. That's all right. And while he's doing, so there's a desktop client, let that log in, and there's also a web browser. So if you can't, some organizations, that's that WordPad running just as a local app. It looks like it's a local app. You know, I can save to this and do what I want with it, but it's just running out of, so that's running in UK South, wherever my session host is deployed. But to the user, he doesn't know that it's just an app. Could be on his local machine. And the same with these, is published whatever's on the machine. You can publish them with one line of PowerShell. There's also another way. If you've just got thin clients, say, and your users only have access to a browser, so they can only go on the internet, then you would, what you could do, there's also a RD web that you can go to and access the same place using a web browser. So that's this. And I'll log in to the full desktop as user 2, say, who's got access to the Windows 10 multi-session full desktop. So he should just see a Windows 10 desktop, this user. Okay, so you can just click that. This looks like it's, so I'm in a browser, I'm logging into a Windows 10 multi-session desktop from a browser. It's quite a weird experience. Because you're in a browser, but you're on a Windows 10 box.
Yeah, but I mean, this capability right here, being able to use a browser to access this session, basically means you don't need some ridiculously powerful device to be able to store all of this. You just need a very small device to be able to access the internet, and you can access the full environment that you're used to working in. Like, I think a lot of people miss that aspect. Like, it puts all of your compute power and all of your storage elsewhere, and you can access it off the smallest client you've got, and still use all of that power. A lot of people miss that.
And the good thing is with this browser session as well, it stays in this browser. So I've got Windows 10 box here, but I'm still in my browser, my Windows 10 box. And it's just, you know, it's like I'm on Windows 10. It's awesome. And obviously other users can log into this system at the same time, which is the only place you can get this kind of thing. This is Windows 10 for Windows virtual desktops, which, yeah, like I say, if I'd logged in with my Windows virtual desktop user 3, I'd see him logging in here, or because of the load balancing actually that's in place for my session host, he would hit another desktop because the default, there's 2 load balancing modes for users accessing or hitting different session hosts. You know, like I've got 3 session hosts in my host pool. What I don't want to do is have all my users hitting session host number 1, filling it up, and the other 2 are there not doing anything, and my user's experience isn't great. So by default, Microsoft have 2 methods for load balancing. They're called breadth and depth mode. And by default, when you build a host pool, the default load balancing method is breadth mode. So each user will hit a different virtual machine in turn, and that kind of makes sure you get the most resources for your users, so they're having the best experience on the Windows 10 box, as it were.
That's amazing.
And then you can also use depth mode. Yeah, so the users will fill up resources on a single VM before moving on to the next one. Once you hit a certain threshold, that helps you manage your costs for your VM.
That's awesome. So I think our listeners can definitely know that we know exactly what we're talking about when it comes to Windows Virtual Desktop. We have got the expert that is Nigel. So I think I'm definitely going to, obviously at the end of this podcast, I'm going to show where you can find his content. So looking at the content hub. But no, that was awesome. Thank you very much, Nigel. That was absolutely brilliant. That was really interesting. Thank you. Our next topic that we wanted to talk around was the Office 365 or Microsoft 365 or whatever they are called now. I'm going to hand over to Steve so he can tell us exactly what is going on.
Yeah, no problem. Cheers, Matt. And so, yeah, there's been a couple of changes which came out in April. So the changes came into effect on April the 21st, and it's all around the Office 365 SMB product range and the new name of Microsoft 365 SMB. So some may be familiar with sort of the reasons for this already, but if you're not, then ultimately we've had a situation where Office 365 has grown over the sort of number of years, and then we've added on the Microsoft 365 plan. Now, Microsoft 365 used to be called the Secure Productive Enterprise Suite. Some may remember that name, and ultimately you do get the elements of Office 365 as well as advanced security and device management tools as well. So having the likes of Intune, having Azure Advanced Threat Protection, as well as your Office 365 plan, including like the sort of most loved services such as like Exchange Online, Microsoft Teams, obviously growing rapidly at this moment. So we've always had these kind of plans available, but I suppose if you look at sort of the naming conventions, you've got the Office 365 like Business Essentials, going up to say Business Premium, and obviously you've got the enterprise plans on top of that, E3, E5. But if you went to just start with the SMB range, you go from like Business Essentials to Business Premium, and then if you want to go up again, you go to Microsoft 365 Business. So you've gone from a Business Premium plan down to Business. So the naming conventions didn't quite seem in sync. So what has happened with these name changes is we now have a situation where everything's come under the Microsoft 365 sort of naming convention again. So we don't have to worry about what's Office, what's Microsoft, because I know from conversations in the past when I've spoken to partners or clients and said, "Are you using Office 365 or using Microsoft 365?" They're not necessarily aware of the differences because obviously they're quite closely similarly named. So we're now in a situation where everything's got the Microsoft 365 plans. We can see some product name changes, which I said have come into effect. And these have all been updated on the Ingram Micro Cloud Marketplace platform already. I'm very keen to emphasize that there's no change on the feature side of things. There's no change on the pricing side of things. So it is literally just a name change that's taken place. And as well, it's just, again, to make things a lot easier to understand, to simplify that namings. And it's also key to sort of let you know this is only affected at the SMB product ranges. So the enterprise plans for Office 365 E3, E5, Microsoft 365 E3, E5, they're still the same as what they were.
Okay, brilliant.
So, I mean, the Business Essentials, Office 365 Business Essentials will now be known as Microsoft 365 Business Basic.
Okay.
You've got the Office 365 Business Premium, which is now known as Microsoft 365 Business Standard. And now we've got the Microsoft 365 Business Plan, now known as Microsoft 365 Business Premium. So we're now in a situation where it's probably a lot more sort of lined up. So you can see, like, if you were to kind of move down sort of like the different sort of plans, you go from a basic plan to a standard plan to a premium plan. The naming convention makes so much more, it makes much more sense. As part of this as well, we did have the Office 365 Business Plan, which was in the, sort of in there as well. So that provided you with the applications of Microsoft, of Office 365, sorry, such as like Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. So that's now known as Microsoft 365 Apps for Business. And on top of that, we also have the Office 365 Pro Plus plan, which would now be known as the Microsoft 365 Apps for Enterprise. So again, it's just trying to iron out those naming conventions, make them much more simpler. Myself and my colleague Peter Graham produced a webinar going through all of these changes, which was released on the 22nd of April. So we had really good sort of feedback from that session. And obviously, if there's any questions, then I would let myself or Pete know, anyone in our modern workplace team would be happy to help. But if you've missed that webinar and want to catch up and find out what changes have taken place, then the Ingram Micro Content Hub, which I think, Matt, you said you may be discussing in a bit, you can catch up there and find all of those sort of previous webinars on demand. So we've got another one on the 29th of April where it's going to round about remote working and how we can utilize Microsoft Teams. I think it's a sort of perfect time with everything that's going on right now. And there's more sort of coming up. So we've got technical workshops as well as sort of further webinars focusing on how you can upsell and go through those plans to those Microsoft 365 plans and handling those common customer objections. So any listeners to this, I really recommend getting a chance to register some time to go through them or access them on demand and see how you can sort of take this opportunity and let your clients know about this.
Perfect, Steve. Thank you. And that's the perfect segue into the next topic, which is the Content Hub. So I'm just going to share my screen. Give me 2 seconds. Where is it? Where's it gone? Bear with me 2 seconds, guys. It's always got to be a technical error whenever we share screen. It's just natural. Here we go. Let me know when you can see my screen, guys, just so I can go through it.
Yeah, you can see that.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Okay, so yeah, what we have here is obviously the Ingram Micro Cloud homepage. Just so you know how easy it is to access the Content Hub, you can easily click on Company there. Now you can see the blog content that we also release. We release blogs very often across Azure, Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365, specific by sector, or even, as Steve mentioned, remote working. I've recently done a remote working blog focused on Dynamics 365 and Teams integrations, for example. But the one I want to focus on today is just the Content Hub. So really quickly, there you go. So straight into the Content Hub. And essentially you can go down here and basically you can see any of our upcoming webinars and register for those, but you can also register to watch on demand as well. So all our content will be available here. You can see all the Modern Workplace ones down here. And you can also filter by specific product area as well. So as you see, these are all the Modern Workplace ones. But that's essentially it. I just wanted to make sure that you guys are all aware of actually where to go in our Ingram Micro Cloud website. So company, into Content Hub, and you're taken to this awesome page where you will see a lot of content being delivered across all the cloud solutions. And I know that Nigel is working tirelessly on Azure and especially Windows Virtual Desktop at the moment. We've got Steve and Pete working to create some really great Microsoft 365 content, and then I'm working alongside Ed and even some of our US colleagues and colleagues around EMEA in our Dynamics Accelerate program to produce some really good Dynamics content as well. So just wanted to make sure you are aware of that. But yeah, go check it out. and register for some webinars. We are working hard to make sure we're providing great content, and also working alongside SureStep as well to provide some really great content. So that is everything for today. So I just want to say thank you very much to Steve, Rohan, Nigel, and Sam for joining me. It's been great. I know more about Windows Virtual Desktop. I know now more about the Office 365 name changes. And actually, yes, it does make sense and it simplifies it. So well done, Microsoft, on that one. It's a good name change. So yeah, no, thank you very much, everyone, for being part. Stay tuned for next month. If there is anything you want us to talk about, then by all means, get in touch. We're more than happy to pick up those topics that we are sent to us. And most importantly, stay healthy, stay home, and stay safe, and let's protect our NHS. So again, thank you very much for listening, and thank you everyone for being part of this.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.